Welcome, everyone. This is Diane Sharp. I'm the Director of Admissions for the Philadelphia side of the Wharton EMBA program for executives. With me here today in Philadelphia is Tammy Carter, the Associate Director of Financial Aid, and Alicia Rogers, who's the Admissions and Events Coordinator. So this is coming to you from Philadelphia, but I want to welcome everyone, our San Francisco and Philadelphia WEMBA 43s, the 43rd class to be entering. We've given our San Francisco counterparts the morning off. Barb and Gwen will take a bye for this since this is all happening. Tammy's based here in Philadelphia. And Tammy will have some contact information for you on her presentation today. I would like to encourage everyone to post any questions that arise in the chat feature on your screen, on your device. And Alicia will take down your questions and we'll pose them to Tammy along the way. This is being recorded, and if you can't stay the whole time, we're going to email the recording and post it on your welcome website. All right, so again, welcome to all the WEMBA 43s in San Francisco, Philadelphia, and in between. Tammy, if you'd go ahead and get started.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me in today's webinar. Basically, what I'm going to do is give you a brief overview of financing options that's available to you at this particular time. If you have, if for some reason you need to talk to me one-on-one, please feel free to actually call my office. I'll be more than glad to talk to you. The first topic on my agenda is the cost of attendance. The second, I will discuss educational loan options. The third would be funding sources. Number 4 would be billing and payments. And then at the end, we'll talk about miscellaneous. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is the actual budget. This is the budget for this current year. As you can see, the bottom line is $192,900. Okay, that's only for this current year. That's basically, it's going to be 6 semesters. You'll be charged roughly about $30,000.
So yeah, the tuition for the incoming class of May 2017, that will be posted in about 6 weeks, we're hoping. That does come down from the University of Pennsylvania, so there's always a bit of a delay because we start earlier than most programs. So what you're seeing here are the numbers for the WEMBA 42s. So you'll add a few percentage points to what Tammy's directing. As soon as that number is known, we'll contact all of you.
Thank you. And the reason why I have this broken out is because each term you will be billed X amount of dollars. Now, for instance, for this summer of 2017, you'll be billed one amount, and then you'll receive another bill for the fall 2017 as well for the same amount, and then for the spring. So that will occur every year, okay? Just to give you an idea of how you're going to be billed. Okay. This is a slide I have that we're going to talk about the loans that's available at this particular time. The direct loan, which is the federal direct loan, is at a fixed rate at 5.31%. The government takes a 1% origination fee. And that's basically, you can look at it as a processing fee that the government takes off the top. So the maximum on that particular loan is $20,500. So it's going to be a little less. It's going to be around $20,200 and maybe $32 that you will receive. And that particular loan, like all of the others, will be coming in 3 disbursements. So just keep in mind that anytime you apply for a loan, it's going to be distributed over the 3 terms, and that's just for the 1 year. Okay, the next loan that we have available is the Federal Direct Grab Plus loan. That's at a fixed rate at 6.31%. The origination fee is 4%, 4.272%, which means that whatever amount that you apply for, that is going to come off the top of the actual loan. So if you want to factor in that 4%, when you apply for your loan, just keep in mind that you're going to factor that amount in so that you can get the full amount that you're actually borrowing. With the Direct Plus loan, you can borrow up to the annual budget. So whatever the budget is, you can actually get that amount minus the federal direct loan for $20,500. Now, If you want to apply for the federal loan programs, you have to fill out the FAFSA form. And that website is www.fasfa.ed.gov. That's a mandatory form that you need to complete if you're inquiring about federal loans. The next option that's available to you is private student loans. They carry a variable and as well as a fixed rate. The rate range anywhere from 2.25% up to 10% in rates. They have, some of them carry an origination fee from 0% up to 6%. So also keep that in mind. They're also credit-based, which means that the lender will actually run a credit check on you. So make sure that you're aware of that. And you can also borrow up to your annual budget if you need to cover your tuition and fees. Some students may do the direct loan because it's at a 5%, and then they might find a private loan that's a little lower than the federal Grad Plus loan. So some students will do a combination. Depending on the interest rate for the private lender, some students may do just all private. If you get a good rate, I tell students, if you get an excellent rate, then by all means stick with a private lender. But also keep in mind when searching for a loan through private lenders, you want to always look at the interest rate, number one. Number two, you want to look at the origination fee, whether or not there are any origination fees associated with the loan. And you also want to look at the repayment schedule. You don't want to take out a loan that, yes, they're going to give you interest rate at 3.25% with zero origination fee, but they want you to pay the loan back within 5 years. So those are just some points, some tips just to kind of like think about.
All right, I'm going to jump in here. Just a reminder that you should go ahead and ask any questions along the way in that chat feature. And as you saw in your email, the presentation, the recording, and the deck will be sent out to everyone after, a day or two after this happens. All right, and it'll be on the Welcome website. Thanks, Tammy.
Okay, this is a list of private lenders that the university have interacted with over the past several years. Citizen Bank is one, Common Bond, Wharton alum started this startup company for our student loans. SunTrust is another lender, Discover, PNC, Sallie Mae. SoFi, in the past several years, SoFi used to have a loan product that they offer students, but then they went into the business of just refinancing. So they only refinance if for any reason you get a loan through one of these lenders and it's at a much higher rate, and you look on SoFi's website or inquire with SoFi to see whether or not what rates they're offering. And if you want to do a refi, you could actually do that. And Wells Fargo is another lender that that's on that lender list as well. Now, some may say, okay, well, why are just these lenders are on this list and not others? And reason being, again, is because the university has worked with these lenders in the past, and they don't necessarily recommend, but they do refer these lenders over others. Now, you may have a loan, a lender out there that you're currently banking with that's not on this list. By all means, we're not restricting you just to stay with this list, but if they're willing to give you a much better rate, then by all means, deal with that lender as well. So.
We already had a question regarding your prior slide. Someone's asking, is the payback period for the direct loan and plus loan?
For the direct loan and the Grad Federal Plus loan, the government allows you up to 20 years for repayment. So you will get 20 years. I tell students if they can pay it off sooner rather than later, by all means do so.
Okay.
With the alternative loans, the private lenders, they tend to have a much shorter repayment schedule. They usually allow up to 10 years. So be cognizant of that as well when searching for lenders. Okay. For the international students that's out there, there are two loan products that we offer our international students. Quorum Federal Credit Union is the first loan. They guarantee a loan funding up to 80% of your first student budget. They charge a 1% origination fee. Okay. The current interest rate for the Quorum loan is 8%. All right. So that's something to consider as well. At any time that you borrow any loans from the university while you're a student, it always go directly through the university's loan system. So the money will not come to you, it will go directly to the university. Quorum allows up to 20 to 25 years for repayment. It really depends on how much you actually borrow. If it's under 60,000, then it's 20 years. Anything above 60,000, they will allow you up to 25 years for repayment. Okay. Prodigy Finance is another lender that the university offers as well. They're based in the UK. They're not in the States. So you're dealing with that lender, and things may be kind of like communications may be a little bit delayed because of the fact that they're based in the UK. Now, with Prodigy, you can borrow up to 100% of your first year budget. There is 0% origination fee. That means that whatever amount that you apply for, that's the amount that you're actually going to receive. The current interest rate is at 6%. It's like 6.85% currently, which is much lower than Quorum. But for Quorum, the university actually guarantees that money to you, that 80%, you're guaranteed that. Again, the loan funds will be sent to the school, and Prodigy, as you can see, they only allow anywhere between 10 to 15 years for repayment. So their repayment period is a little bit shorter than Quorum. But the interest rate, I agree that it's a little bit better.
All right, a couple questions on these topics. So is it commonplace to take out one loan per term or one per year? Is there a process?
Good question. When you apply for your loan, make sure that you apply for the entire year. Because what happens is when I've seen in cases when students apply for just a portion for maybe one semester and then they go back to the same lender and apply again, the interest rate is a little bit higher. So you always want to apply for the entire year. Also, keep in mind that when you do apply, say for instance, you apply for $100,000, again, it's going to be spread over 3 terms. So the interest is only accruing on the first disbursement. And then when the second disbursement comes in, which is the beginning of term 2, at that particular time, then the interest starts accruing upon that disbursement. So you don't have to think about, okay, I know I need to borrow X amount of dollars, but I don't want to pay the interest. Again, the interest is only, it only accrues upon the first or second or third disbursement.
And another question, are there any statistics available on what Wharton students tend to choose among all those options?
Unfortunately not. That's a really good question. I only know the percentage of students that apply for Quorum versus Prodigy or private versus federal by them coming in my office and counseling them. I would say based on those numbers, I would say at least 20% will do federal, and the additional 80% would do private because they can get a much better rate depending on the credit. And with Quorum, I would say this current year, because Prodigy just in the last couple of years have their product available, I would say 90% of our international students borrow through Quorum.
90%, great. And would you happen to know what the tax implications might be between borrowing a loan or paying out of pocket?
Unfortunately not. You would have to talk to a tax accountant. But I do tell students that have personal funds that want to pay out of pocket, it's to their advantage to do so instead of taking out a loan because they save on that interest.
And when you say that they are borrowing for the year, is that a calendar year or academic year?
It's for the academic year. So your year is from May to May. So it would be from May of 2017 through May of 2018.
Great.
Okay. The next one I want to talk about is for our military population that's out there. Post 9/11. These are the current rates. We do not have the rates for the upcoming year, and we usually don't get those rates until sometime in July. Okay, but this is just to give you an idea how the post 9/11 works. This current year, the maximum amount that a student was able to receive was roughly rounded off $22,000. With the GI, because your program starts in the summertime, summer is considered a semester by itself. Therefore, you're eligible for that $22,000 for the summer, and then again, you're eligible for it for the fall of the upcoming year, for this year as well. And then you won't be eligible for it for the spring. However, you will be eligible for the payment for the fall of 2018 term. So those are the 3 semesters terms that you actually will be granted the post 9/11. Now, for the military students, you're also eligible for Yellow Ribbon, provided that you're 100% eligible and that you send in your certificate of eligibility. Now, what happens is the government will send $10,000 to the school, and what Wharton will do as a courtesy, we will match that $10,000. So you will receive $10,000 for the fall, and then you'll receive another $10,000 to the spring. And anytime money is sent, it's always applied to your tuition and fees. So just keep that in mind. It will not go to you, it will go directly to the school. But you need to make sure that you send in your certificate of eligibility, and that information will go to our university registrar's office, and they will process it. Just to give you a heads up, the government tends to send things in a little late. So even though you will start during the summer in May, you may not receive your credit on your account until sometime June or July. So don't be surprised. Okay, now let's talk about payment. Any payment is due always the first day of class. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, if you're applying for loans that's going to cover your tuition costs, just touch bases with your program manager to let them know that 1, you're working with Tammy, or 2, that you're waiting for your loans to be processed and actually dispersed. Because 1, you can't really apply for your loans until early May or mid-May. And by then, classes usually start towards the
21st this year, yeah.
Around the 21st of May. So if you're applying for loans, more than likely that your funding will not be here. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, and this happens every year, so we're used to that, guys. So no need to stress out over that.
Exactly, just something to keep in mind. However, I do want to stress that if you're not applying for loans, you're paying out of pocket, your funds are due first day of class because you have nothing pending. And if your company sponsor, again, work with your program manager to make sure that they're aware that you're waiting for funds from your employer. I don't want you guys to just ignore the bill. Your tuition is actually due, and I just want you guys to just think about it. Just stay on top of things. We don't want you to fall through the cracks. I'm available at any given time. If I'm not available, just leave a message and I will return your call and discuss your bill, because it's very important that you don't go over to the next term with an outstanding balance.
Yeah, the fees do add up. And just so you know, guys, you guys are round 1 admits, and we're going to be doing this again after our round 2 admissions. So other than, getting your taxes taken care of, getting your credit score in order, there's just a whole lot of waiting to be done. Of course, do your research. But the billing's not going to start happening until after round 2 either. All right. So we really appreciate your patience in all this.
Okay. And just to let you know, the university assesses 1.5% late fee that's on your bill. So we don't want to have you be assessed that late fee. So again, work with me, work with your program manager to make sure that you stay on top of things.
Is that do they incur a late fee if the government is the one late in paying?
And that's why I said if you are waiting for the loan to come in, then it's not a problem, not any problem whatsoever. Okay. Now, there are several ways that you can actually make your payment. You can actually do it online using PinPay. If you want to link up your account, you can do that, your bank account, with the university system. You can also use Amex, American Express. However, there's a 2% convenience fee for processing. So I don't recommend that unless you're really trying to gain up some points, but that 2% convenience fee can be used in other areas, okay? You can do a pure wire transfer as well. There is a charge for the wire transfer. I'm not sure exactly what the amount is, but try and make a payment where you don't have to pay the 2% convenience fee, or there's a fee for the wire service. And you can also give your class manager a check.
Yep. One of the things that we've asked you for when you enroll is who gets the bills, basically, that your company. So they're going to work with you. And again, the class managers are working to graduate the EMBA 41s. So there's nothing really to do until later after we've admitted round 2 people as well. So we'll get all that sort of information from you and organized. Tammy, if you have a second, I have another question that is related to this. So if someone feels that they can make payments for their first year out of their own resources, but they would need to borrow starting in term 4, what's the best process? Should they apply now or do?
That's an excellent question. And I always encourage students, if they actually can pay out of pocket, you want to pay out of pocket and not apply into that particular term. Just keep in mind that it takes about 4 weeks for your loan to be processed. So if you know that you don't need funding until maybe the 3rd term or 4th term, you want to allow 4 to 6 weeks prior to that beginning of that term to actually pay your bill and apply for a loan.
Great.
Okay. All right, the next step. This is the next and more than likely the final step. Because these loans are going to be credit-based, you want to take a look at your credit report. It's very important to look at it to make sure there's nothing negative on it. And if so, you want to get that cleaned up as soon as possible. You also want to assess your personal resources. If you have extra money in the bank, that's what I mean by personal resources, or if you have it like a 401k or something like that you want to use, you want to do research on that to see exactly how much you have available and how much you want to use. Again, your tuition bill is beginning of each term, is due at the beginning of each term. And finally, if for any reason that there's something that I talked about today, you did not understand or you need clarification, again, please feel free to contact my office at any given time. And this is the financial aid team. Jeff Brown is our director. My colleague is Lakeisha Bishop, and me, myself, Tammy.
All right, I'll give it a second here. If anybody has another question, now is the time to post it. But again, as you see there, you can reach out directly to the financial aid team. They are based here on the East Coast time zone scenario. Good, we have one other question here. Do people run into issues qualifying for a loan for the entire year and not spending it all because they pay some out of pocket?
They don't, good question. They don't run into a problem, but what I tell students to do, if you know that you're going to pay X amount of dollars out of pocket and the additional is going to be through loans, by all means do so. But it's usually not a problem whatsoever, as long as what you have out of pocket and what you apply for is enough to cover your bill.
Are there any loans or other financing options unique to candidates working for nonprofits?
Yes, I think that information is actually on your website. There is a non-for-profit and there is an office here at the university, and I would just take a look at the website.
The Bentheim.
The Bentheim.
So yeah, the Bentheim is a loan forgiveness program. So anyone who remains in the not-for-profit sector post-graduation is able to apply for that up to 5 times at 5 years post-graduation, as long as you're staying in the not-for-profit. And then they help you pay off your loans should you be accepted to that.
Absolutely. And you have to have borrowed loans in order to qualify because they pay the lender directly.
Great. So yeah, you'll find a link in on our website to the Bentheim. So we have a question about a student who's getting reimbursed by their employer after it's a tuition reimbursement scenario. Is there any flexibility with bill payment at the end of the term?
I do have to say, with company sponsors, if you are being sponsored by your company and they're not applying, they will not apply the funding until after the term. I always encourage students to actually apply for a loan, and then once your company sponsor comes in, the funds can actually be returned. But just keep in mind that when you do apply for the loan, you're going to be responsible for that interest that accrues up until the funds actually go back. But your bill will be covered. So
yeah, we do see this scenario a lot as well. So you need to pay your bill at the beginning of the semester. By the time the repayment is due, hopefully your company will have paid it again, but you could apply it directly and so forth. So it's best to do it ahead of time. Great. All right. Well, it looks like those are the questions. I want to thank Tammy for leading this and for Leisha for monitoring everything. Again, this has been recorded and we will send it out to everyone within a day or two. And thanks again for calling in today, and let us know if you have any questions.
Thank you, guys.